Now tonight, Friday night, in action, we're going to see the Indiana Fever, who have had a month off. Nobody was on their Olympic roster on that team, so they have fully had 1 month off from the time they tipped tonight, taking on the Mercury, a team that feel like they have not shown who they can be,
Hmm.
that they haven't been at full strength, and they feel like they can make a run. Brittany Griner said, "Y'all don't want to see us coming. We're ready. We're going to make a push in this second half." But the
Okay.
rookie of the year race, I think, is really, really interesting. We've talked about this one before, so I'll go over it very quickly. Angel Reese, 17 double doubles, actually make that 18 double doubles this season after yesterday. Tied for the second most by a rookie in a single season, and it stands to reason she's going to break Tina Charles' record from 2010. And then there's Caitlin Clark, who would be the first rookie ever to average 15 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists per game. The first one, and just the fifth player ever in league history to do that.
Hmm.
And I've said that I still, right now, am riding with Caitlin. It's like a 1A, 1B conversation. Caitlin as my rookie of the year, just because I do think it's harder for guards to make their impact in the way that she has. But I do think ultimately, Gary, this is going to come down to which one of these teams makes the playoffs? Which
Hmm.
one of these women is more integral in their team returning to the playoffs? We saw the Sky yesterday in action get mollywopped
Hmm.
despite Angel getting another double double in the Fever kickoff action today. Who you got? Who you going with?
Look, before he even continues, at this point, look, no disrespect to Angel Reese, you're having a good year, everything like that, but there's been some things that I need to see from you as far as improvement with skill set and just finishing around the basket to even consider you as the rookie of the year. I think at this point, Caitlin Clark, over the past 6 games before the break, she's clearly made that separation, averaging I think it was 13 assists per game. You know, and then she's averaging about 17 points per game. I just don't think that there's really anything else that we need to argue about. It's pretty clear, to be honest, Caitlin looks like a top 5 pro out there, a top 10 pro, top 10, top 10, top 15 pro for sure for her age. And then for point guard, she's the top 3 point guard in the league. Top two might be the best as far as being a natural point guard. She might be the best point guard in the league right now. Just being honest. So I mean, I get it. She's saying that Caitlin Clark is probably her favorite right now, but I just don't think right now when I look at Angel Reese, her motor is great. Her rebounding is awesome. Um, but besides that, she plays a little bit of defense. But the finishing around the rim for me, I'm not a fan of that, and I think her skill set needs to change. And I think it has to do with her trainers and things like that. And just whatever she's doing outside of basketball, I'm not really sure. I just hope over the break that she did spend some time in the gym because she shouldn't be coming out looking like that. There's no way. So I'm just not sure where the race is at anymore. I think it's kind of one sided right now. I know the odds, betting odds, things like that have changed tremendously. So, let's continue on and hear what they got to say.
I love all of that. It's interesting to see that the Aces, because right now, only 12 teams, only 8 get
Oh,
into the WNBA playoffs, and the Aces are like middle of the pack right now. Yes, are they charging? Yes, are they going to get hot at the right time? Asia Wilson has been hot this entire time, but they are looking like they're rounding into form. Although, what's happening with Becky Hammon and the Dearica Hamby like lawsuit, I don't know if that's gonna like I don't know what, if any, distraction, derailment, issues that'll cause. Like, when you chop off the head of the snake, so to speak, with the head coach, if she's like going to be under any sort of scrutiny or any sort of, I don't know, legality issues with that. Don't know. TBD. Are you're pursing your lips like you want to say something?
No, this is a story that's not new. It's maybe newer to
Sure.
some W fans. It's something that Dearica had talked about when she left the Aces or
Hmm.
when she ended up landing in Los Angeles. So certainly there's been a lot of animus between them. They've already been suspended for it. I think this is
Correct.
becoming renewed because of the lawsuit, because of the leak of these reported text messages between
Texts
her
and
and Becky
calls are
Hammond.
pretty bad.
And honestly, it feels like, in terms of like picking sides, and I don't want to assume here, it just feels like, as I'm doing context clues and putting things together, and some of the sound that we've sort of heard from the Aces players is that they're on Becky Hammond's side. So I'm not really sure that
Okay.
this is going to cause any sort of distraction. What it could do is galvanize, right? Like, okay, our
Sure.
coach is facing a lot of scrutiny. I mean, look at Michigan last year. Like, they were
Yes.
like, doing it for you, Jim. And so I think it could be like sort of be that sort of effect. I really don't think it's going to have an impact either way, but if it did have an impact, I would say it would be more in the galvanizing spirit than
Okay,
in
cool.
sharing the
That's a good
negative way.
distinction to make because we know the WNBA more than a lot of other leagues are very, very much like, hey, we got to incubate like this players, and the Players
Yeah.
Association is very much like players watch out for one another. So like if they're going to ostracize anybody, it's going to be like one of the head coaches, in my estimation, being on the outside looking into the WNBA. So that distinction very important that you think they would rally behind Becky Hammon as opposed to the alternative. But I think the number one headline, the prevailing headline, is the Rookie of the Year race, and I don't even think it's close. I don't think it's going to be close. When you're talking about like second half success and player success, the Chicago Sky are only a couple of years removed from being WNBA champions. Yes, it's a completely
Totally
different
though.
team, completely different makeup. Understand that. Candace Parker went home to win that WNBA title, but that was like within the last 4 years, right?
Yeah.
They were a playoff team just one season ago. Right now, they are the 8 seed in the WNBA playoffs. And we're talking about an Indiana Fever team led by Caitlin Clark that hasn't made the playoffs since 2016. She wasn't even in college at this point, right? So this predates her college hooping career, the Indiana Fever's WNBA playoff success, playoff appearance. So the fact that right now the Fever are the 7 seed in the WNBA playoffs, to me, boom, stop the count, stop the fight. She's the WNBA Rookie of the Year this morning on SportsCenter because the second half of the season started yesterday. We're taping this on a Thursday, Friday. It started on a Thursday, so we did like, hey, Caitlin Clark and the Fever back in action. So too is Angel Reese in the Sky. Let's take a look back and see some of Clark's highlights before we went to the Olympic break. And it's just another reminder that before the break, she became the first rookie ever to record a triple double, and it was against, oh gosh, either way, it was against a very good team. Sorry, the name is blanking right now. And additionally, she became the all-time single game assists leader ever, rookie or otherwise. So she's doing stuff that we've quite literally never seen a rookie do, and doing stuff that we only see veteran players do. So I think if she takes any momentum from the first half of the season into the second half of the season and the Fever make the playoffs, I don't even think they need to make the playoffs. She's the Rookie of the
Yeah,
Year.
fact.
Yeah. I mean,
And before L goes, they don't even need to make the playoffs for her to win this. Like he said, this is not even close. The race is over. You know what Caitlin Clark has done for the Fever and the organization, getting them to the playoffs after what is that, 8 years almost. You know what I'm saying? And you're beating pretty good teams. And the fact that you guys had the hardest schedule to begin the season, literally at any team, you guys had the hardest schedule. Back to back games like that, 5 games of practice, no chemistry. Now they got a 30-day break, and it's almost better that Caitlin didn't go to the Olympics. Now watch what you guys see. Watch what you see this Indiana Fever do. They're gonna come out and run on teams, and it's gonna be a scary sight to play them. They look like a professional ball club, and you do not want to play with them. That's what it looks like right now. And I'm honest. You take a look at Indiana Fever. You take a look at the Sky. Right now, Indiana Fever. I would take that squad all day long. All day long. So I don't know. Let's finish off with L and let's get up out of here.
well, Angel Reese, in all fairness, is doing the same thing. Like she's also making history. Like the triple double, by the way, was against the Liberty. So a
There
very
it
good
is.
team. The
Okay, so
number
I
one
knew it
team.
was a good
The
team. They
number one
needed
team.
every single one. Thank you, Sarah.
The number one team in the W. I mean, I'm just saying, Angel Reese. What Angel Reese does though is not as flashy, right? Like it's not triple doubles, it's not a ton of scoring in that way. It's double doubles, which is like the Tim Duncan stat, right? It's like not
Hmm.
sexy, but so incredibly important. Like I said, her double doubles are already most in the league, and that's tied for second most by a rookie all time. She's probably going to break that. She at one point was on the longest double double streak that we'd ever seen. The only other person that had done it at as a rookie was Candace Parker. So like she's also making history. Like if we're just looking at historical context and doing things we haven't seen before, like Angel Reese is doing the same thing. I'm still giving it to Caitlin just based on again how difficult it is for that
Hmm.
game to translate. But I also think that one of the questions I'm interested too when you talk about the Aces is they've gone 10-2 since Chelsea Gray came back, and that's why they're in the middle of the pack right now. They were 6-6 to start, which is largely putting themselves in a big hole to start. But I'm asking you this because I find this to be interesting. It had no effect on Sabrina Ionescu and Brianna Stewart yesterday when they tipped off again. But I wonder because four aces, as you
Hmm.
remember, were on the Olympics team,
Hmm.
and Chelsea Gray, Asia Wilson, Kelsey Plum, and Jackie Young. And not only were they on the Olympics, but they had like a significant role in the Olympic team. In fact, those four accounted for over 41% of the total points on that team. They accounted for over 45% of the assists. That tells me that those four, I'll say those three really, because Chelsea didn't get as many minutes, played a ton of minutes. And on the one hand, you say, that's great. Like they didn't have a break. They don't have to warm back up. They've been working together. They've been playing together. Like this is great. On the other hand, you say, are they tired? Will this affect, the fatigue level of this? And I'm just interested in how that's going to play
Facts.
out as we look to see them make a push to be the first team since the Houston Comets to have a triple. A triple dub on the championship. So I'm interested to see if that's going to have any impact at all. Like I said, didn't on the Liberty, but man, they used a lot of minutes out there in France.
It's an extra month of play
Facts.
for them, while everybody who was on the U.S. women's national team obviously went to secure an eighth straight gold. But I sort of liken that to it's the extra month that those players of that caliber are used to playing anyway, a month, really 45 days past the regular season because they're in the playoffs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think and obviously theirs is a little bit more condensed because they are the ones who outlasted everybody else and they played the longest. But I feel like that extra month and a half, the 45 days on the back end of the season is comparable, even actually more so of a degree than the Olympics, which is really, two group stage games and then all of a sudden you're in the knockout. You got to win 5 games, right, in the Olympics. So the travel more than anything, I would think. But at this point, they're catered to and they get the best. So I don't see that being any sort of kind of issue. I would be more concerned actually with the teams who had the month layoff. Like Caitlin Clark deserved it. The Fever deserved it. Anybody who wasn't, part of that U.S. women's national team deserved taking that break. But we saw the videos, man. They were up at Yankee Stadium, chilling, cooling. They probably weren't eating salads. You know what I'm saying? They were at country music concerts, probably not drinking water. You know what I mean?
There are some teams that needed the break. The Minnesota
Correct.
Lynx, who started out so hot and then started faltering down the stretch. They needed like stop, full stop. Connecticut Sun
Yeah.
started out really hot, started faltering before the
Yeah.
break. Full stop, right? The Fever, it's kind of the opposite. They were really rounding into form.
They
They
were
were playing
hot.
their best basketball. Now,
Man.
Caitlin needed the rest, and I think it is going to make a big impact. And I actually think it's not going to impact them as much because, again, what have we been saying? They just hadn't had times together. They hadn't had
Correct.
practice together. They hadn't had reps together. And I do think it's important to get away from the game a little bit and remember, what you love about it and miss it a little bit and be a person of the world. I mean, we talk about that. Like we work to death. And then you look up and you're like, well, I can't enjoy any of the fruits of my labor anyway. So I'm not worried about them in terms of that at all. I will say this. It's so unfair for these women who worked their off to win gold for this country and didn't get to do but a very paltry victory lap before having to get right back to work. And they're looking over and they're seeing the men, and the men are hanging out on yachts
They
and
on
doing their
boats.
thing like Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. And when we come back on the Elle Duncan show, just a quick little respite, just a quick little break, we're going to tell you what our dream yacht scenario
All
would
right.
be in honor of Devin
We're
Booker.
not here for the yacht situation, so we're gonna end that there. Elle, she's into just yap, yap, yap after that. So there you have it. We're gonna keep it to the Caitlin Clark and the Angel Reese. For me, like I said, I support both women. I think Angel Reese has a big upside if she could just get the skill set down and just be under control under the basket and not rush and just be a better basketball player when it comes to finishing the basketball. It's just like something about her game is just it's looking it should be improving. And I feel like it's not. She's doing the same thing. Rebound, rebound. The team is losing. And at the end of the day, there's not a real impact. We can't be going 3 from 8 for the free throw line. And I'm gonna call it out where I see it. If you really rock with somebody, you're gonna call them out on their flaws. Like today, I'll call out Caitlin Clark when needed. Turnovers, I'll call her out when needed. But I know at the end of the day, Caitlin Clark is gonna on that stat sheet and during the game when we look at Caitlin Clark, oh my gosh, 10, 15 assists. She's putting up more than 13 plus points a game, 17 points a game. You know what I'm saying? 15, 20 points a game. Grabbing 5 rebounds. Yeah, 4 turnovers, but guess what? Damn, she had 13 assists. Okay, she equivalent. That means they had 25 points off my passes, and I scored about 15 points. And we won. Huh. Yeah. You know, she's just kind of pulling away at this point, but I'm going to leave it at that. Look, all the new love, all the new subscribers, I appreciate you guys. Keep on subscribing. Keep on hitting that like button. Drop a comment. I'll make sure I get back to you. Catch you on the next video. We're out.